Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Thomas. Today, well, we're back here with Josh Scorcher again. Today, well, I don't watch yourself because we got the top 10 devil bosses. Yep, whether it be Satan himself or just a lower ranked demon, we got devils up wazoo. So watch yourself. I'm actually kind of curious to see how they rank. The only one I know of is like the devil in, well, Cuphead, but, well, let's see which devils make the list and see which ones we gotta watch out and get some holy water ready for. Be sure to like, subscribe for more. Hope you enjoyed. Let's rock and roll.
The fact that devils are predominantly comic or absurdly exaggerated figures in the modern imagination will help you. If any faint suspicion of your existence begins to arise in his mind, suggest to him a picture of something in red tights. And persuade him that since he cannot believe in that, he therefore cannot believe in you.
And the old devil trick himself, making the world forget that he exists. Here we go.
Last year, we did demon bosses. Now it's time we cover the other end of the spectrum.
From Demon the Devil.
One of the most iconic entities of all time. Whereas demons tend to be more up close and personal
Brutal.
with their evil, devils tend to be more behind
Manipulative.
the scenes and sneaky. As for
I mean,
how
hey,
a devil can
it's called
be
Deal with the Devil.
delightfully devilish, there are many ways. 1. Trying to tempt the hero or other characters with their power. 2. Being a once noble character who themselves fell from grace and tries to corrupt others. 3. Making a bargain or contract with someone that will inevitably screw them
Backfire.
over. 4. Fire and or darkness powers. 5. Looks like your classic devil with the pitchforks. That and the whole boss fight needs to be an enjoyable thing. You know, standard
Of course.
stuff. Let's begin. Wild
Number
2
10?
Final Mix is my eternal favorite Kingdom Hearts game. I still very much enjoy the original. While it was clearly still figuring out if it was a platformer or not, it's
Fantasia
absolutely
was?
not. It's nice to go back to a simpler time when the Disney villains were actually relevant to the plot, and Sora actually sounded like a 14-year-old, because Haley Joel Osment was 12.
He's
Among
older.
the many original characters introduced here, we have Ansem, Seeker of Darkness. As a character, Ansem
That works.
actually kinda nails the satanic archetype. He was once a noble scientist king
Handsome but
studying
wise.
the Heartless. In the game's story proper, however, he disappeared long ago and now haunts others as a mysterious figure to tempt both Sora and Riku. But whereas Sora was able to stick to the path of light and righteousness, Riku wasn't
not so much.
Now Ansem is reborn in all his hammy glory, using and believing in the power of darkness to conquer all worlds! As a boss, Ansem is easily the game's biggest fight. You go from fighting him on the beach to a solo rematch to a massive endeavor against his huge battleship. It's a long, freaking long, but incredibly satisfying battle to end the game on. Heck, we even got some great bits in the sequel, Chain of Memories, where Ansem functions as the devil on Riku's shoulder, constantly tempting him to once again embrace the dark. It's really effective. And then Kingdom Hearts 2 came and completely ruined Ansem and his darkness within darkness. He becomes more of a joke, if anything.
Darkness called, but I was on the phone, so I missed him. I tried to star 69 Darkness, but his machine picked up. I yelled, "Pick up the phone, Darkness," but he ignored me.
Was that actually Ansem's voice actor?
Darkness
Kind of curious
kept
now.
screening his calls.
And anyone remembering, 3 and how Xehanort was.
Castlevania has a myriad of ghosts, vampires, and varying degrees of eldritch entities. With all this unholiness to go around, it shouldn't be a surprise that
Devilish.
literal Satan would show his face around here. Well, Lords of Shadow give us just that. The tale of Castlevania's own Satan is that
Yeah,
of
the Rise of Dracula here.
Satan, a fallen angel who seeks to challenge his father and reclaim his place in heaven. To do this, he needed the God's Mask, so he had the Lords of Shadow manipulate Gabriel Belmont to collect it, promising him that it could bring back his lost wife. When the truth is revealed, Gabriel doesn't take it well and decides to freaking end him. This fight is one hell of a cinematic beatdown, as you tussle through a wide array of fireballs, dark magic, and Satan's own pitchfork to give him the toss around he deserves. Satan isn't just an overglorified sorcerer, of course, no, he's the devil for a reason. Even as he falls here, he goes on to further his tricks and temptations. In Lords of Shadow 2, he faces Gabriel again, now Dracula, by possessing his son Alucard and taking advantage of Gabriel's family loyalty that prevents him from killing his own son. But when Dracula does muster the strength to make the sacrifice, Satan chickens out and ejects from Alucard's body, leaving himself open to getting slain by the vampire killer. While this version of Satan is your standard behind-the-scenes mastermind, and the fights in both games do have their clunky moments, the way they're handled is still pretty awesome. We could have easily just had Dracula be a personification of the devil in the series, but instead, we go the extra mile here by beating the crap out of Satan as the man who becomes Dracula. Come on!
Welcome, God. I had to say it.
What a time we'd live in if we did a whole Beelzebub list and not talk about the Diablo series. The name literally translates to devil. In this case, we've actually got three to choose from.
Which Diablo,
our titular baddie Diablo, the Lord of Terror, Baal, the Lord of Destruction, and Mephisto, the Lord of Hatred. Three Titanic brothers trapped within soul stones, but their influence was strong enough to corrupt anyone and anything around them, even orchestrate their own freedom. All three of these guys are great, but of them, I gotta say the eldest bro Mephisto fits the bill for this list the most.
Hey, boy.
Am I a joke to you?
Honestly, Mephisto's the one who felt the most like a devil, personality-wise. The others are mostly just raw destruction.
So basically demons, well, Mephisto is more of a devil.
Heck, if it wasn't for him, there wouldn't be a Diablo series. You know, Lazarus, the corrupt archbishop who freed Diablo in the first place?
Yeah.
That was Mephisto's doing. In Diablo 4, we really get to see him in action, manipulating us as the bloodied wolf, basically using our mutual goals of destroying Lilith, his daughter, as a means to further his own goals. He downright gaslights you, making it so you owe it to him. And like it or not, you need him if you want to succeed. And he ain't shy about rubbing that fact in your face.
Look where we stand. I saved you in this dismal little cave because I sensed you could end Lilith. And that is all I want.
Frick.
I won't lie. There will come a time when we are enemies.
Yikes.
But like it or not, right now we need each other to defeat her.
Diablo 4 is really where you see him shine as the devil. But this is a bossless, and sadly, he's not a boss in that game. The only time we get to face him directly is in Diablo 2. His role in it is brief, but the damage he's caused is made abundantly clear. The level we face him, the Durance of Hate, was once a holy temple of light, but now it's been reduced to a glorified dungeon by Mephisto's influence, with the remains of human sacrifices made in his name scattered about. And Mephisto himself doesn't waste any time trying to smite you once you enter his chambers, hurling lightning, poison, and cold attacks at you. In the higher difficulties, he's immune to any health or mana leeches, so if you're not stocked up, you're hosed. Admittedly, it's kind of easy to cheese Mephisto if you know how to exploit AI. Also, he's not that great against physical attacks. Also, even with all the lore and visual storytelling Diablo 2 gave us, it really didn't do him justice, hence why his fight's lower on the list. But it did open the doors for massively expanding his character in future games. Because face it, even if you beat the devil in a fight, you won't truly ever escape him. If you want definitive proof of how bad Mephisto is, just look what he did to Spider-Man.
Wrong Mephisto. Yeah, I was gonna say wrong Mephisto, but same product applies. Wasn't the Faust, like, devil Mephisto too? At least that's what I remember. Right? Okay, so Dr. Faust, like, he wanted to learn magic, he summoned Mephisto. You gave him magic, but only let live for about a year before, well, down the hell you go. I think it was a year, or was it something else? I'll look it up later. But yeah, basically, careful who you make a deal with, because you never know when they're going to turn their backs on you. I mean, it's devils. It's kind of what they do. Anyway, number 7. Who's making
When
this
we
remix?
look at devils, we want them to be the sinister type that makes deals, outwits, and tries to screw you over from the shadows.
Pretty much.
The last thing we really want for them is to be the local bartender who chooses people to
Oh.
participate in a platform
Catherine.
nightmare to get them to break up with their girlfriends.
That feels weird, but I'll allow it.
Yep, we're talking about Catherine. This is a game I don't talk about too much, but whatever. Main premise is your main character, Vincent, is having a bunch of relationship troubles on top of having nightmares where he needs to climb through tower puzzles to survive. And you guessed it, the one causing these nightmares is none other than the
devil
bartender,
himself.
Thomas Mutton. Mutton uses his bar to gather information and find his victims. Men who are playing relationship chicken and preventing population growth. Oh boy, is that topical. He then summons the succubus Catherine and flings these men into nightmares, both figuratively and literally, to test the resolve and commitment to their girlfriends. Vincent inadvertently finds out that Mutton is behind everything and makes a deal with him. If he survives one more night, the nightmares end for all. Wow, Mutton's taking that lying down.
Yeah, no.
After getting through the
Gotta go.
first few stages of the Imperio, Mutton shows up on a giant chair with a revolver, because, of course. In his first phase, he will change the blocks with his hammer, try to kick you, and try to shoot you with his gun, all to slow you down and eventually kill you. His second form, Doomazid, will change things up by being even more sporadic with the block changes, cursing Vincent, and using his Doomazid beam. Eat your heart out, Destroy Man. If you're able to outrun him, you'll be able to free yourself from the nightmares and be with one of the 3 girls you've been leading on.
Again.
Or not, depending on which ending you get. Mutton is a pretty simple boss in the long run, as you're mostly trying to survive the climb where he hinders you occasionally. What gets him on here is his manipulation of Vincent and his overall plan. He does lose points for just revealing he's behind everything from some simple probing and being a henchman of the goddess Ishtar. Yes, there are other gods in this. But it's an Atlas game. What did you expect? Also, if
That's
I
a
had a
point.
nickel for every game that had a final boss and a dreamscape and their theme is a remix of the Revolutionary Etude, I'd have 2 nickels. How did this happen twice? How does it keep happening twice? We get
You got me.
so much mileage out of this meme.
You do. I guess they just like that theme.
You guys remember Dragalia Lost? Back when Nintendo was
Rest in
just
peace.
starting out on its mobile game kick, they released this little cult classic with the help of veteran mobile game developer
Cygames.
Cygames. It was a big gamble, as it was an original IP, which as a Switch game may have been fine, but it was a gacha game. And well, for every Genshin Impact, Fire Emblem Heroes, and Final Fantasy Brave Exvius, there's a Final Fantasy All the Bravest, and whatever anime gacha game you're definitely thinking of right now. I'm guessing that Eminence and Shadow one. Luckily, Dragalia was
fair.
one of the good ones. Unfortunately, it got shut down almost a year ago. So let's celebrate that legacy by talking about Dragalia's first major antagonist, the Other. The Other was this evil void being that had been threatening the main royal bloodline of the game for centuries, originally being sealed away by main character Yuden's ancestor. Yuden's father got possessed by the sealed version
Of
of it.
course he did.
Then he eventually possesses Yuden's sister Zethia, where she acts as the main antagonist of the first part of the game. Other
Poor
Zethia
Zethia.
kills her father, becomes a tyrannical empress, forces Yuden to fight his siblings, and decides to lead a genocide against the world's dragons. Man, that's some dense lore. So, who is this Other? Well, his true name is Morsayati, and in the second
Morsayati.
anniversary event, The
Oh,
Forgotten
Forgotten
Truths,
Truths.
we learned the answer. Originally from another world,
Mordecai.
Morsayati appeared as the being Mordecai, brought to life by a young inventor named Ilya, and befriends her. When Ilya is forced to make a pact with the dragon Elysium, Elysium seemingly kills her as part of the pact, causing Mordecai to go crazy, summoning Morsayati from his heart.
Oops.
And yeah, I'm skipping a lot of details here, just go into the fight itself. Taking the form of a dragon-like demon, Morsayati's first form uses a lot of dark elemental attacks like beams, tornadoes, and shockwaves. Towards the end of this
Again,
phase, you will need
dragons,
to
what
pass
do
a
you expect?
DPS check, or he will summon a black hole to one-shot you. And that's just phase 1. After the check, he teleports everyone to this white room that's vaguely inspired by Nier. He would continue the darkness
Again, a
attacks
lot
from the
of
first
influences
phase,
here.
but with more ferocity than before. Keep it up, knock his HP to 0. Phase 3 starts. Now the music goes all in on the chorus as you need to destroy the walls of Miasma, protecting it with one last DPS check. Once you do that, summon your giant light sword one last time to kill the beastie. This fight isn't too long, but what we get is
It's
amazing.
kind of a gotcha
It's an
game, would
absolute
expect.
spectacle that keeps building to an amazing finish, fitting for the game's 2nd anniversary. I wish we could talk more about the lore and build up to the fight, or in the game itself, but we'll save that for another countdown. Rest well, Dragalia. Hopefully,
miss you.
we shall see you again in the future.
Yeah, let's hope so, too. I actually had some fun with that, too. I wonder what they do with it, though.
So, Pony Island. Okay,
Hey,
I know.
Let me finish. Ay.
So, Asmodeus. Well, this seems somewhat familiar, and by familiar, I mean as familiar as me screaming tirades about Okami or groaning at a pun my writers make me say. I talked about this
Not
boss
surprised.
to death.
You expect
to the point
anything
where I
less?
wish the weird metagame I was talking about was Doki Doki Literature Club so I could be killed alongside the rest of the cast. But, as a professional, I
Stretch.
can't assume everyone who is watching this has seen my other countdowns. So, here are the Cliff Notes. Remember Cliff Notes? Are those still a thing? I'll find out in 5-ish years. Pony Island is a metaphysical PC game where you thought it was an old arcane run and gunner, but it was actually a point-and-click adventure game that was created by the devil the whole time.
Yep.
And that's not me being mad, that's literal. Asmodeus is a demon AI programmed to kill you, but considers itself more sophisticated than
Basically
the
pulls
other
a
demon
jigsaw
AI in
and
the
wants to
game.
play a game with
Unlike
us.
the other demons, he asks you questions and tries to mess with you as you answer them, like hacking your Steam friends list, asking trick questions, and pretending to crash the game. Though, at points, he may crash the game and cause you to restart the fight. And yeah, there we go. As a devil, Asmodeus may seem pretty tame compared to everyone else on this list, but he ranks here because he's an interesting and engaging confrontation that's still very
True,
different
it's
from
not
other
physical,
bosses
it's
I've
more
fought.
about outwitting
At least
the
you can mark
boy.
another space in your Josh Scorcher bingo cards. I probably should make merch of those. Hey guys, should I make merch of those?
Probably, I don't know. I'm surprised you haven't already.
What is more devilish than cloaking oneself in false divinity? Athena started out as a relatively normal researcher, if a bit intense, and the wife of La Habrea. Then she somehow got in contact with the heart of Sabik and went a little crazy.
Cuckoo.
Like conceiving a son to groom him into becoming a vessel for her ascent to godhood. Kind of crazy. When the player catches up with her, she merges with the heart of Sabik to become this. Butterflies, truly the most devilish of creatures.
There we go.
Joking aside, she bids you to fight her so that in the battle high she might truly ascend to godhood and tear this wretched world asunder and remake it in her own image of perfection. Actually, come to think of it, I think Athena and Cyrus from Pokemon would get along pretty well. Now, there's a scary thought. I don't
no
ship
kidding.
it. Or do I?
Please
As if
don't.
the Butterfly Queen wasn't enough, she also has minions. Minions that look uncomfortably like Sin Eaters, demonic entities from the first. So how does this fight with her break down? Alright, normal mode. She cleaves large portions of the arena with her wings, breaks the floor you're standing on, blasts the party with room-wide AoEs, and there was one other thing, what was it? Oh yeah, she weaponizes super string theory and weaves chains from the fabric of creation to try and destroy you.
Mathematical, dude.
I don't think
Ow.
our creative minions are sitting idly by. They're helping their creator by blasting the party with various lasers, and partway through the fight, you have to destroy 4 of them while their mistress dive bombs the party and gathers her power. If you're too slow in destroying the minions, game over for you. But if all of
Bubble.
Athena were in normal mode, she'd be lower on the list, most certainly. But her savage fight, the first phase of her savage fight is so good. Her super chain theory attacks are really tricky to execute, requiring precise timing, but it's so satisfying to pull off. And if you mess up, it's usually pretty clear what went wrong, which might honestly be the best part of this whole fight. The visual clarity. There's no point in this fight where things are
Seeing the heavenly
unnecessarily
feel, I'm not
cluttered or
surprised.
hard to decipher after you learn the mechanic. The fight demands exacting execution, of course, but there's no point where it's unclear what killed you should you fail. I could wax poetic about Paradigm of 3 or Super Chain Theory 2A, but we'd be here all day. So let's talk about Phase 2 instead. As has become common with 4th floor Savage fights, Athena is a door boss. Her first form is focused on challenging your mechanical execution, and the second is all about solving her puzzles. Also, she looks like this. I've seen enough people talking about hentai to know what those tentacles mean. Anyway, the puzzles are fine. They're not really all that hard once you figure them out, but at least everyone agrees on how to execute the solution, unlike other part 2s like I mentioned. High concept 2. But anyway, even her Octomommy form is not enough to overcome you and to protect the world from her devilish schemes, sending her to the afterlife once and for all. devilish parts of Athena aren't as strong as others on this list, but they are there, and she's mostly this high because
definitely got
the
an
battle is
aesthetic
just that
feel.
dang good. It balances out.
Yeah, I mean, gotta give it credit. Does look great. Though I'm not sure. Sorry, I was trying to think of something else, but I guess with her it's more about the aesthetics because she's like trying to get godhood. Yikes. Anyway, moving along. I mean, I got nothing else because I haven't gotten to that part in the game, but let's move on. Final 3, here we go.
The Devil Went Down to Georgia. A music battle as old as 1979. Yeah, it sounds like it'd be a more ancient tale, and it is.
Kind of.
It's loosely based on the old legend of Faust, where the main character makes a deal with the devil and ultimately loses his soul. But in the musical version, our Faustian hero wins. Being such a classic song, it's been covered countless times, but by far the best was against Lou in Guitar Hero 3. In the career mode, you play as a group of aspiring rock stars who find great success thanks to their well-connected producer, Lou. But as they soon find out, the contract is actually for their souls, and Lou is none other than Lucifer himself. I mean, not the most subtle metaphor for the music industry, but still pretty dang funny. Naturally, the only way to get out of said contract is by beating him in a music battle. Let's get the obvious thing out of the way first. The music absolutely rocks! It really sells the sheer gravity and scale of the situation at hand while being a total banger on its own. Being the devil, Lou is an absolute monster on the guitar. Unless you mess with his playing, he plays each note perfectly. You'll really have to master the gameplay to stand a chance against him, let alone on expert. The only reason I can't rate this any higher is that when you take away the surrounding context, it's really not all that different from the standard Guitar Hero 3 boss fight. It's just a little harder.
That's what she said.
Hey.
Oh, and fun fact, Charlie Daniels himself famously wasn't on board with this song being used.
Really?
Not gonna lie though, his spiel against it is so blatantly out of touch, it's priceless. I want any of you parents out there whose children have this game to know that I do not grant these people my permission to pervert my song, and am disgusted with the result.
Yep. Sorry, boy. Sorry for that. Ooh, you too. Hey, there's Cuphead.
My fans, they love me.
With a game as classic a vibe as Cuphead, you can't get more classic for a villain than the Big D himself. Throughout the game, you do the devil's bidding of claiming soul contracts from his various debtors. Once you finish the deed, all there is to do is turn the contracts in and join his army. And so you did. Cuphead becomes evil, and your game ends like this, forever. The end.
Oh, wait a
minute.
Wait, what's that? The permanent bad ending thing was fake news?
Yep, there we go.
Guess I'll have to keep playing then. So, of course, the right way to play the game is
way.
to deny him his
Deny it.
contracts and challenge him to a fight. Arrogantly sitting on his throne, the devil sends his imps after you and attacks you with all manners of fireballs and orbs. Sprinkle in some of that unholy shape-shifting while we're at it. In the second phase, you enter the deepest pits of hell and face off against the devil at his strongest. As you teeter above the floating stones, the devil drops giant fiery chips onto you, pulls out a cleanly animated bomb from his ear they have to parry to avoid, and he drags his henchmen along for the ride, crowding the fight with projectiles galore.
Thank you, henchman.
Also, that boss theme is 100% Sigma from Mega Man X, and you can't convince me otherwise. As the final boss, you know this fight is going to be hard, and it really shows. The devil's
no
attacks
kidding.
are very
That's
quick on
so
the
much
draw,
to
and
keep
it
a
will
track
take some
of.
trial and error to figure out how to dodge properly, especially his dragon and goat attacks. Dragon and goat, I just got that. It's a fantastic capstone to this classic hand-drawn adventure. The only thing keeping him from being number one is that, well, he's a cartoon. He doesn't have as grand a lore as what you think the devil should have, other than he's pure
ran the
evil
casino,
and he does
just get the
evil
debtors
things.
back.
He's dang good at it, to be sure, but our number one definitely has a lot more to offer.
Yeah, fair, but goddamn, do they leave an impression?
Dark Prince Puyo Puyo / Mado Madogatari, a
What?
powerful entity with world-bending powers, and he uses it to pick up a chick. Grogaroth, Fear and Hunger, an old god who thrives on human sacrifices. Would have been on the list if the game was more kosher.
Ouch.
Satan/Mega Satan, Binding of Isaac. Nice how you make deals with him, but depending on your build, difficulty can vary from literally impossible to him dying to a sneeze. Virgil, Devil May Cry 5. Great fight, great character, devilish attitude, devilishly handsome. Not an ultimate evil, though. Belias, Final Fantasy Tactics. Your standard power-hungry devil that can really screw over players if they don't prepare. Doviculus, Brutal Legend. They call him a demon lord, but man, he's just too charismatic to not be devilish.
Alright, last one. Who's the number one?
It is Goatus Faust, not the demon, who really exhibits the ruthless, sleepless, unsmiling concentration upon the self which is the mark of hell. The humorous, civilized, sensible, adaptable Mephistopheles has helped to strengthen the delectable.
This is Mephisto from like Sonic 06.
Evil is liberating.
Fifth Cell was probably one of the more unassuming third-party developers during the heyday of the Nintendo DS. Before they were putting memes in Cthulhu and Scribblenauts, however, their biggest claim to fame was the Drawn-to-Life duology, a game where you, well, draw things to life. Looks are rather deceiving with this game, especially with its sequel, and nowhere is this more apparent than with the series' main antagonist, Wilfre. Nah, stop me if the story sounds at all familiar. Wilfre was once regarded as the most popular and respected individual in Raposa Village, always the center of attention. However, one day he questioned why the creator they worshipped was the only one allowed to design the world they lived in, thinking he could have done better. He snuck into where the legendary Book of Life was held, the book where everything in the world was drawn by the creator, and stole it, writing in his own designs. But they came out twisted, dark, and shadowy. Corrupted by his own hubris, Wilfre tore out the book's pages and was consumed by shadow, falling from grace and dooming the world in the process. Wait a minute. Wilfre?
It's the devil!
There we go.
Okay.
Let's take a minute.
While he's not exactly your standard red-horned Mephistopheles figure, it's very hard to deny Wilfre's parallels with Lucifer's fall from grace, especially when the developers themselves have stated that the series' biblical themes were intentional. The creator represents God, and Wilfre represents the devil. You encounter Wilfre several times in both games, and he pulls out all the tricks you'd expect from Old Scratch, manipulating and taunting the heroes in an attempt to break them and their faith, pulling Faustian deals with innocents by exploiting their egos and fears, and even appearing in innocent-looking guises to fool you, the player. In the second game, he even succeeds in pulling Mary, one of the two central characters, to his side with words alone. To get her back, you end up tracking Wilfre down to a wasteland of his own design, a twisted recreation of previous levels with a dark cathedral at its center. Mary reveals to you that he showed her something about the sole human character, Mike, that completely shifted her worldview, but in the end, agrees that Wilfre needs to be stopped. In the first game, Wilfre's battle was rather simple, with him sicking a scorpion minion on you and coming across as more of a simple villain. Though it is notable that the Scorpion uses your own creations against you. But here, in the second game, your confrontation with him carries far more gravitas. He puts you in a forced loss battle, but it's actually done well.
How
he
so?
taunts you and the creator with the idea that everyone you've helped along your journey doesn't believe in you, citing all the things he's caused people to do. But it's shown that, no, despite everything, everyone believes in the creator, and their belief in you powers you up to finally end him for good. Wilfre rides atop his ultimate creation, a dark throne atop a storm cloud, one he can cast down lightning and even manipulate into a tornado to suck you in. In classic Nintendo boss fashion, though, he'll make the mistake of diving down towards you, letting you jump on him and get a few good hits in. It's honestly a rather simple fight, all things considered, but simple is by no means bad. After all, what sets this final boss apart is... Even his defeat animation is dramatic, with Wilfre desperately clinging onto his disguises before the shadow fades from him, leaving him as the same man he was before, right before he too fades away. As for what Wilfre saw, I won't delve too deep into spoilers, but It's a surprisingly dark twist on a trope that's usually more groan-worthy than anything, and even makes you consider that Wilfre did what he saw was genuinely the right thing. Don't we all? For a simple DS platformer, drawn to life surprises by not only making Wilfre a very true-to-form portrayal of the devil, but also making its own interpretation of him, making him feel like his own character in the same vein as something like Paradise Lost. With a cinematic battle with the world's prayers at your side, Wilfre captures what it truly feels like to overcome the temptation of ultimate evil. I'm the Fiery Joker, and now that we faced off against the devil, we must face the only entity greater than him.
God!
So, from the devil himself, we're taking on God next time, though that's going to be a while. Thanks for watching, everybody. Let me know what you guys think. For me, it's definitely the Cuphead devil, because frankly, whew, that is a headache and a half. You know, considering, like, how many times you have to plan ahead? Well, anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that one. The next time, like, subscribe for more. See ya.